I am a very informal person. My name is Ram. For those of you who have thinking, who the hell is this guy? Why is the dean praising him so much? Let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Ram. Full name is long. I'm a South Indian, so my R names typically are longer. Full name is KT Ramarao. I have just to give you a bit of background, I have a master's degree in biotech from Pune University. I have a master's degree in management from New York. I've studied for a bit in New York, and I went to school there, and I also worked in the US for a bit, about 8 years. Then came back to India in 2004, worked here for 2 years. I actually was heading South Asia for my company. And then eventually in 2006, I joined public life, politics. One thing led to another. I was part of the Telangana agitation. Eventually in 2009, I was given an opportunity to run for legislature and got elected for the first time. Since then, I won 4 elections on a trot and have been a minister for 9 years now. I look after some important departments, industry, commerce, information technology, urban development, and handlooms and textiles as well. So I'm here to talk about the growth story of this new state called Telangana, which was formed in 2014. For those of you who are uninitiated, for those of you who are unaware, as you all know, in India, unfortunately, we don't really have a scientific scheme or scientific method when it comes to the formation of new states. Back in 1952, when the first Indian government was formed, the first States Reorganization Commission was formed. They had recommended that language be the basis of formation of new states, and eventually that led to formation of 14 states. But since 1956 till 2001, another 13 states were created. So in the case of Telangana, just to give you a bit of context, we have in fact been a princely state called as the Hyderabad state. So today, the current Telangana state, plus a few regions in Maharashtra, Parbhani, Latur, Aurangabad, Nanded, etc., and a few regions in Karnataka, Bidar, Raichur, Gulbarga, etc., etc. All this was the erstwhile princely state of Hyderabad. But after the formation of new states, Telangana in fact was demanding for several decades to be wanting to be a separate state. There were a lot of battles, a lot of agitations, a lot of struggles, etc., etc. Eventually, the cookie had to crumble at some point. In 2014, when our current chief minister, Sri KTR, he led the movement, he led the agitation for about 14 years, 14 long years, from 2001 until 2014, till the union government conceded and the new state came into being. Now, this state, like I said, was a result of a protracted struggle, a lot of sacrifices, etc., etc. So, what happened? I guess, when you actually see such long fraught battle, and when you see a state actually becoming a reality, you would hope that things have started moving and some good is being done for people. So in the last 9 years, the one thing I keep saying wherever I go is that my state, Telangana, is actually the most successful startup of independent India. Now, for those of you who are here in a business school, you'd absolutely need to understand why I would say it, how I would back it up with. In 2014, when the new state of Telangana was formed, our per capita was about 112,000 rupees, 1,12,000. 31st this year, it's the highest in the country. It is now 3,17,000 rupees. And just to contextualize and put things in perspective, back in 2014, India's per capita as a country was about 75,000, subject to correction. For those of you who are trigger happy, I don't want you to get me wrong. And then now, as on today, it's about 149 odd thousand. But Telangana, on the other hand, is 317,000, 3,17,000. Our GSDP was 5,05,000 crores in 2014. And as of 31st March this year, it's 13.27 lakh crore. The per capita rise, the GSDP rise is one thing. But what we've done truly is, if I have to summarize, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji had called for a meeting about 2.5 years ago in Delhi. This was, I think, prior to COVID, slightly prior to COVID. He wanted to call all the representatives of various political parties in India, and he wanted a perspective on how to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. He also wanted some inputs of what to do for 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi ji. He also wanted inputs on how India should become a first world country by 2047. I was probably the youngest guy in the group. We had Naveen Patnaik ji, we had Sharad Pawar ji, we had a lot of thespians, we had a lot of senior guys who've seen the world, for a longer time than I have. I was initially a bit apprehensive whether or not to be candid because, I was given a written speech. I didn't really know whether to stick to it or probably deviate and speak my mind. It was a closed door meeting. So I took the liberty. I asked the Prime Minister, sir, could I speak candidly? And since it's an in-camera meeting, by the way, disclaimer, we don't get along with the Prime Minister. We are not on the same side. Disclaimer. So, therefore, I was apprehensive. I asked him. He said, okay, बोलिए. तो मैंने उनसे कहा कि सर अगर आपको सच्ची में, if in reality, truly, if you want India to be a truly liberated first world country, मैं तो ये मानता हूँ सर, मैंने थोड़ा दुनिया देखा है इधर उधर, मैंने भी पढ़ाई की है और थोड़ा बहुत मैंने सीखा भी है दुनिया से. जब भी हम बाहर जाते हैं वापस आते हैं वेस्टर्न कंट्री या कहीं और बाहर जाके वापस आते हैं, बहुत दुख महसूस होता है, एक मिक्स्ड फीलिंग महसूस होता है. खुशी इस बात की होती है कि घर वापस आ रहे हैं, बट दुख इस बात का होता है कि आप जब मलेशिया जाके आते हैं तब भी लगता है कि यार क्या हो रहा है, ये भी आगे निकल गया हमसे, दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ अ थिंग. सो ही लाफ्ड, ही सेड ओके, तो बताइए क्या करना है. तो आई सेड सर, आई बिलीव दैट इंडिया नीड्स टू टेक अप the 3I mantra. He said, what is that? I said, innovation, infrastructure, inclusive growth. If you actually latch onto this mantra, innovate, create infrastructure, and continue on the path of inclusivity, then India will truly achieve its desire to be a first world country. A lot of you here in this room, who worked in the government or otherwise, would know this. When I say innovation, the first thing that pops into your mind, I'm sure, is a startup. कि कोई यंग लड़का है या लड़की है, कुछ कर रही हैं, कंप्यूटर पे कुछ कर रहे हैं या कुछ कोशिश कर रहे हैं. But innovation is not just about technology. Innovation need not only happen in a business school or a university ecosystem. Innovation is about our day-to-day lives and how we can actually disrupt legacy processes and how we can reinvent and how we can actually come out with something truly unique. In Telangana, we've done that. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples. So, in Telangana, the first piece of legislation we have enacted, please tell me when I'm overshooting time because, politicians are in love with Mike. We can talk and talk and talk. I spoke for 2 hours in the assembly the other day. Of course, my people tell me I speak well, but others might not agree. Anyways, please tell me. So, the first piece of legislation that we have enacted in Telangana, 2014 November, is called as TS iPass. It's modeled on the lines of Easy Pass, the toll, if you have been to the US or another country, or even our tolls here, the fast pass, the fast track kind of a thing. What does TS iPass stand for? It's iPass of the Telangana State Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System. I'll just give you 3 salient features of this innovative policy. The first piece is, in Telangana, you actually don't need a clearance from the government to start your enterprise. Say you wanted to start the construction of your factory. You can hit the ground running. If you have a piece of land that is already owned by you or allotted to you, you can start construction of your factory on day one without meeting a minister, a secretary, or even the local panchayat or municipality. This is backed by statute. This is backed by legislation. In case you think this is difficult, let me tell you. The second salient feature, all we need from you, as an investor, is once you start the construction, we request that you submit all the information online to us on the TS iPass portal for regulatory purposes, for compliance. We need to know who you are, what kind of line you're engaged in, how many people would you be employing, what kind of taxes can we expect from you, and other things, your line of activity, say red, orange, green category, etc., etc. When we receive that information online, we promise all clearances in 15 days, flat. This is again by statute. If we don't deliver on the 15-day window, on the 16th day, it's an automatic approval. And the third thing I'll tell you, those of you who are IAS officers in this room, let me tell you, Telangana is truly a unique state, a very innovative state. Even if you're a senior IAS officer, we have the luxury, we have the authority to levy a penalty of rupees 1,000 per day if you are held responsible for holding up a file beyond the 15-day window that is stipulated. So these three things is what makes Telangana's policy extremely unique. Now, in case you're thinking, this guy is a politician, how do I trust him? Let me tell you. We gave out more than 24,000 clearances in the last 8 years. We have raised more than $50 billion of investment to Telangana. And most importantly, we created more than 2.4 million, 24 lakh direct job potential in our state. That has catapulted us to the top of the league on the ease of doing business rankings, which are given by Government of India and the World Bank together. In case you're wondering, again, what are the prime examples of the success we've had? Let me tell you a couple of narratives, couple of things. Life sciences has been our strength in Telangana and Hyderabad. In fact, since we just got out of COVID, we're still living the nightmares of it. You still keep hearing about people dropping dead here, there, right? Did you know that 1/3 of global vaccines, human vaccines, are produced from my city, my state, Telangana and Hyderabad? 33%. 9 billion doses, 900 crore doses of vaccines are produced from Hyderabad, which makes it 33% of global vaccine production, making us the vaccine capital. We have consolidated on that strength. We have consolidated, and now we're building so much that by next year, it'll be 14 billion doses, and we'll be 50% of world vaccine production. Now, if you're anybody from Pune? Nobody from Pune? All right, so if you go to Pune, somebody will tell you that Serum Institute produces a lot of vaccines. Yes, they do. But we have 4 institutes in Hyderabad, not one. We have Bharat Biotech, we have Biological Evans, we have Sanofi, we have Indian Immunologicals. Now even Serum is coming into Hyderabad. Between 4 of these, we produce this kind of number. Why am I mentioning this? Because you will be surprised that a lot of strengths that India has, a lot of strengths that Indian states have, we really do not know. Did you know, again, that the largest number of US FDA approved manufacturing facilities for any province in the world, any state in the world, is in Telangana? We have 214 US FDA approved manufacturing facilities. The second largest is in New Jersey, United States, with 189. So that's Telangana for you in life sciences. That is one sector. Now most of you, anybody from Bangalore? Nobody from Bangalore. अच्छा आप हो क्यों चुप रहे थे यार नहीं मजाक कर रहा हूँ So lot of people, when we say technology, when we mention technology, think of Bangalore. They think Bangalore is the IT capital of India. Well, sorry to say this, my friend, we are not. You are not. The reason why I say this is because last 2 years, we've beaten Bangalore fair and square in job India, in technology alone. 150,000 were from Hyderabad. This is not my data. This is NASSCOM. That was 33% last year. This year, in fact, it's even more impressive. It's 44% of total tech jobs created in India coming from one city alone, that's Hyderabad. Now, as just to juxtapose and tell you how well the city has grown, how well the state has grown. In 2014, the total number of jobs in technology that were in Hyderabad directly is about 3,23,000. As of March 31st this year, it's 915,000. So the explosive growth from 323,000 to 915,000 happened despite COVID, despite demonetization. Our IT exports from Telangana and Hyderabad were 56,000 crore in 2014. Now it's 2,41,000 crores, 400% plus growth. The number of employees have increased by 300%. The exports have risen by 400%. Therefore, the per capita, the GSDP, and everything else, of course, which is a byproduct of this, has also happened. Let me also add one more thing here. In technology, we have not only grown numbers of employees or exports. How many of you in this room can tell me where Amazon's world's largest campus is? It's in Hyderabad, not Seattle. It's a 3.1 million square foot facility located in Hyderabad. Next time you are in ISB Hyderabad campus in November, I urge you to actually visit Amazon. I can even arrange for that. Google, Apple, Facebook, now called Meta, Microsoft, Micron, Qualcomm, Salesforce, Uber, Novartis, ZF, I can go on, the list is long. All of their second largest campuses in the world, outside of their headquarters, are in Hyderabad, not in Bangalore. The world's largest technology incubator, which I urge you please have them visit this when you're in Hyderabad, called the T-Hub, is in Hyderabad. It's the world's largest tech incubator, also rated as the best incubator in India by NITI and by Government of India's DPIIT. India's largest prototyping facility, called as T-Works, is also in Hyderabad. India's only women entrepreneurs hub, called as V-Hub, is also in Hyderabad. All of these ecosystem products that have been created by the government, all the things that I've just mentioned, and there's plenty more I can mention. There's an institution called as TASK, which is for skilling. There's an institution called RICH, which tries to bring about a collaboration between academia, industry, and the list goes on. All of these have been built by the government. The government played the role of an enabler. So we have taken the whole of the ecosystem approach and have tried to do as much as we can. So therefore, our IT sector is booming, our life sciences sector is booming. Now we've launched what is called as Telangana Mobility Valley. We're looking at sustainable mobility. We're looking at shared mobility. See, today, the life sciences ecosystem that you see in Hyderabad is definitely a product of something that happened 20 years ago, something that was called as Genome Valley. We would like to replicate something very similar in the mobility ecosystem with the advent of Telangana Mobility Valley. I can go on, there's plenty of things I can tell you, but I'll only tell you two more things. Not only in the high-tech sector, we also are a leader in aerospace and defense. Did you know that American President Joe Biden's helicopter cabin is also made in Hyderabad? Sikorsky is the name of the company. They make their cabins there. Not only Sikorsky, Apache makes its helicopter fuselages, GE makes its engines, and there's several other companies, even Lockheed Martin, they've come out with their 200th C-15, C-16, C-135s empennage yesterday, in fact, day before yesterday. So there are three very important verticals with respect to industry in Hyderabad. One, IT, two, life sciences, three, aerospace and defense. There's plenty of others. In the hinterland of Telangana, in the rural area of Telangana, we have done something truly interesting and truly impressive, equally impressive. You have, I presume, seen or have at least heard of Kaleshwaram. Have you had a chance to look at it? Did you all know, we talk about Chinese, their projects, their ability to execute projects quickly. People talk about Three Gorges. People talk about multiple other things that the Chinese have done, 100-story building in 100 days and things like that. This project, called Kaleshwaram, is the world's largest lift irrigation project. It is not anywhere outside of India. It's very much within India. It's in Telangana, and we've completed it flat in 4 years. This acres of land. It also supplies drinking water to a metropolis like Hyderabad. It also, earmarks about 10% of its water for industrial consumption as well. What is special about Kaleshwaram? If you look at the topography of Telangana, it's a very undulating topography. The two rivers, the two important rivers, Krishna and Godavari, both of which originate in Maharashtra, come down to Telangana, and from Telangana they flow into Andhra. From Andhra they flow into the ocean. Now, the interesting thing about the terrain in Telangana is, the water of these two rivers, actually run at about 80 and 100 meters above sea level. But the terrain of Telangana and the uplands in Telangana are above 200 and above, meters above sea level. Hyderabad, for instance, is at 535 meters above sea level. And the highest mount in Telangana is 675 meters above sea level. So the only way for us to pump water and irrigate our barren fields, our parched fields, is by way of lifting the water, and through multiple stages of, powerhouses, pump houses, powered by heavy-duty pumping stations, we can lift water and irrigate the entire area. Now, what has Kaleshwaram done? I'm sure as a business student, as a student interested in understanding public financing, as a student interested in understanding how land acquisition was made, etc., there are a lot of interesting insights there. But what's even more impressive is the outcome of Kaleshwaram. What it has done is it has catapulted Telangana from 24th spot among Indian states in terms of paddy production, 24th, to number 1 spot this year, single-handed. We've recently crossed Punjab and Haryana, which is where we are seated. That's why I wanted to be here. I wanted to say to the Punjab press just to get a kick out of it, but missing them here. Any which ways, just wanted to rub it in. That's the one thing it has done. The second thing Kaleshwaram has done has shown the world what can be done if a government sets its mind to getting things done. In India, typically, we have had a project in Telangana called as Sri Ram Sagar project. The foundation was laid by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in 1963. It did not get completed till 2014. You see prime ministers changing, chief ministers falling down, falling off their chair and also passing away. But things don't move, unfortunately. But in Telangana, things move, things happen quickly. And within 4 years, our chief minister was able to deliver a project which cost 100,000 crores, 1 lakh crore, in 4 years, flat. And zero contribution from Modi ji. Let me also add that. So public finance and how to raise money as a state is a unique project. So next time as an officer, as a student, or even as an entrepreneur, you're trying to raise finances, please keep this in mind. If Telangana can do it, you can do it too. I also wanted to mention, just to give you a scale of the project, the earth that was moved for this project, you could build 66 pyramids of Giza with the kind of earth we've moved. The kind of steel that was used. You could build 53 Burj Khalifas. 53 Burj Khalifas. I can go on, the list is long, some very, very interesting anecdotal statistics. The point is, governments in India can get stuff done, And let me also quickly add, what Kaleshwaram and other irrigation projects in Telangana also have done, is have created a ripple effect. In India, politicians keep talking about doubling farmers' income. That's a favorite theme, recurring theme. Every prime minister, every chief minister, every politician says, मैं किसान का क्या बोलते हैं, इनकम को क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में? मैं जो भी बोलते हैं, इनकम डबल कर देंगे, आमदनी डबल करेंगे, चलो दुगना करेंगे, राइट? बट होता नहीं है. बात बहुत कुछ कहते हैं, सुनने को तो बहुत मिलता है, अच्छे अच्छे जुमले मिलते हैं, होता कुछ नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली फोकस, अल्टीमेटली गेम प्लान ठीक नहीं है. बट तेलंगाना में हमने, and you can check, see, whatever I'm saying here, I'm up for scrutiny. You guys are all very smart. You guys all have access to information. Some of you are in the government, so you can always definitely push back and challenge me. The point I'm trying to make is, we have ushered in 5 revolutions in Telangana, in the rural hinterland. The first thing, of course, is a green revolution. Our paddy production has risen from 68 lakh metric tons in 2014 to now 3.5 crore metric tons. We're number 1 in the country in paddy production. Our cotton production has quintupled, and so has other sectors. So green revolution has been ushered. In fact, I'll tell you an interesting story here. So I was in Minnesota a few years ago. I'm a minister for industry, so I go around, travel for promoting my state and my country. So I met with the governor of Minnesota. For those of you who are familiar with the US, Minnesota is called the land of 10,000 lakes. So I met the governor. I told him, sir, you're called the land of 10,000 lakes, but my state has 46,000 lakes. He was zapped. He said, really? Is that true? I said, yes. Unfortunately, these 46,000 lakes and tanks have been neglected. After our government took office, we've revived them, we've strengthened them, and as a result today, Telangana is the number 1 state for inland fisheries. We're the number 1 state for inland fisheries, ushering in a blue revolution. The third thing I'll tell you, we've also, in fact, we have a government company, government dairy, called as Vijaya Dairy. Now, Vijaya was in losses when we took office, but we started giving an incentive of 4 rupees to the dairy farmers to supply milk, to the government dairy. And as a result today, we have not only turned it around, they started paying as a dividend now. More than 38 crores of dividend is being paid by the Vijaya Dairy to the government, because we are the principal owner of that. So we have ushered in a white revolution by way of that. There's some more that can be done. The fourth thing we have done in the rural area, we've actually started a sheep rearing program, a massive one with 11,000 crore. What that has done essentially again is, has doubled our livestock in the state resulting in not only livestock doubling, but an opportunity to create a meat processing industry, also known as the pink revolution. And the fifth one I'll tell you, India imports nearly 78% of its edible oils. In Telangana, we wanted to change that, so we have set an ambitious target for ourselves over the next 5 years. We are going to be raising oil palm cultivation in about 20 lakh acres in the next 5 years. We're already on the way. We have covered 2 lakhs in the first year. Now we are on course to making a yellow revolution unfold in Telangana. The 5 revolutions: green, blue, white, pink, yellow. This is what will double the farmer's income. Not mere sloganeering, not mere posturing, etc., etc. So what we have decided as a strategy is, for the cities in Hyderabad, like Hyderabad, Warangal, Khammam, Karimnagar, we will ensure that the technology industry, the knowledge economy, is given a priority, is given a boost. Likewise, in the hinterland, agriculture. Now we are setting up food processing zones, special food processing zones in about 10,000 acres, 15 different locations, where we will be encouraging agro-based industries, we'll be encouraging food processing industries, etc., etc. I can give you many other examples, but I'll confine myself to this and tell you this. If the rest of India were to perform as well as we did, why do I call my state the most successful startup of independent India? If the rest of India in the last 9 years had performed as well as we did, we would have already been a 5 trillion economy without any excuses. No COVID, no demonet, no nothing. So the point is, we are a performing state, and this, by the way, also, despite any support, For those of you who are wondering, what about the macro picture vis-a-vis India? Let me tell you, we are less than 2.5% of India's population. We are a smaller state. We are the 12th largest. In terms of population, if you look at it, we are the size of Malaysia. In terms of geography, we are the size of South Korea. But in terms of our contribution to India's GDP, we are 2.5% of India, but we contribute to 5% of India's GDP. So every 1 rupee we pay in taxes to Government of India, we get about 45 paisa back. But nevertheless, we never complain. We are happy to contribute to the growth of this great country, great nation. But we feel pinched when we have the Union Finance Minister coming in and asking us questions like, हमने आपको इतना दिया या मोदी जी का तस्वीर क्यों नहीं लगाया आपने PDS के शॉप में? थोड़ा दुख होता है. But having conclude by saying, this is a state that's a shining example on how stable government and able leadership can change things in India, can turn around the sectors which were hitherto called sick, can also do a fine balance of both rural, urban. Our environment, by the way, has grown by 7.7%. Our forest cover, green cover, has grown by 7.7%. If one were to ask me in one line, if you have to sum up the Telangana model, I'd say it's a holistic, integrated, balanced, and inclusive model. What do I mean? We are 2.5% of India, but we win 30% of National Panchayat awards. We are 2.5% of India, but we win more than 26 awards in Swachh Sarvekshan for municipalities. So there's a fine balance of rural development and urban development. Our industry is growing, so is our environment. Our IT exports are growing, so are our agri exports. So this is the kind of model that India needs if it really has to propel itself into the first world, if it really has to become a truly developed country which respects all faiths, which does not discriminate its people based on their skin color, based on their sex, based on their religion or social class. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Jai Hind, Jai Telangana.
Now it's for questions. I request you to
Good evening, sir. I'm Vishwesh from the IPS in Tamil Nadu cadre. I had 2 questions, sir. In this overall transformation for the most innovative and the state of Telangana, what do you foresee as the transformative role of the bureaucracy? apart from the political class, the bureaucracy is also an important element. And how should it synergize with the private sector to give you the desired results? The second thing is an enlightened political leadership is the major factor. So do you have any plans of transmitting your ideas to other state political leadership? It is, I'm not talking very lightly, because the political leadership of all states need to come together and take the experience from a successful state like you, so that they can drive their states towards. So these are two things, sir: the political class as well as the bureaucracy. Thank you, sir.
Vishwesh, which state are you originally from?
I'm from Kerala, sir.
Kerala. I love your state, by the way. I was there for my birthday recently as well. Two questions. First, I think, what's the role of bureaucracy? I'd say two things. I mean, I'm going to be a bit candid, so please don't hate me for saying this. Even if you do, don't tell me. The first thing is, in India, the bureaucrats are used to sitting in their ivory towers, and people coming to them begging, saying, "My baap, permission de do, ye kar do, wo kar do." We are all used to sitting there up in our castles. That's one thing that needs to change. That's one thing that absolutely needs to change. And the second thing, whether you like it or not, I'm going to say it. You look at the political class. We are the world's largest democracy, Vishwesh. When you're the world's largest democracy, please remember that it is the political representatives that will have to run the government, right? But the typical pushback from the bureaucracy is, when I'm elected as a minister, for instance, पहली बात तो ये होता है कि पहले 6 महीने जो है, first 6 months, typically goes away in trying to understand the job. And the last 6 months anyway goes away in trying to fight elections again. 6 months or 1 year, last 1 year. तो मुझे बचा मेरे पास 3-3.5 साल. And if I have to effect change in the 3.5-4 years, if I get a pushback from the bureaucracy, क्योंकि bureaucracy को ये लगता है, IAS officers को, IPS officers को, कि हम लोग retirement तक यहाँ पे है, अब ये बंदा वापस आएगा नहीं आएगा किसको पता, ये तो गेस्ट आर्टिस्ट है, हम तो परमानेंट आर्टिस्ट है, बेहतर जानते हैं, हमने कोई एक परीक्षा हमने तय किया, परीक्षा हमने मतलब व्यापार किया, तो हम बेहतर जानते हैं, हमारे पास ज़्यादा नॉलेज है, वो गलत है. इंडिया की रियलिटी जो है, मेरे हिसाब से जो रूटेड है, जो लोगों से हमें मिलता है, जो ओपिनियन या जो फीडबैक हमें मिलता है, उसके हिसाब से हम डिमांड करते हैं, उसके हिसाब से हम काम प्लानिंग करते हैं. The first thing I think we need to understand is, each of us, the executive has their role, the legislature has their role, the judiciary has its role. We have well-defined roles. We should not step on each other's toes, respect each other, work with each other for the betterment of the country. I'll give you a classic example. In fact, I was narrating it to my colleagues. So I went to Paris, on a business trip. I'll not name names, it would not be good. तो वहाँ पे 2-4 दिन हम लोग बहुत मीटिंग्स किए हमने, तो फिर बाद में we were on the way back. So there was this young officer, foreign service officer. So I told him, I said, boss, ऐसा करो, जो भी हमने बात की, जो भी हमने लीड जनरेट किया, थोड़ा इसका अगर कुछ है, मतलब कोई इंटरेस्ट है, because I'm setting up the world's largest pharma cluster in my state. And one of the logical things of pharma, extension of pharma is cosmetics. And Paris is the cosmetics capital, it's the cosmetics valley of the world. So I told this guy, I said, ऐसा है कि हमारी भारत सरकार के साथ, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के साथ नहीं पटती है, तो ऐसा है अगर कोई लीड है तो हमें डायरेक्ट भेज देना, बता देना. You know what he said? And I think this applies to all of bureaucracy. He said, sir, I don't work for government of India alone. I work for India. This is what he said. And I think that should be the philosophy, that should be the mantra. Cutting across the political lines, cutting across affiliations, cutting across who's who and who's what, who belongs to which party. I think all of us need to have that objective, the end goal, that India really has to fulfill its potential. That's the first thing I'll tell you. The second thing, how can we learn from each other? See, we are, we're very clear when it comes to learning from others. I had gone to Delhi, loved the Mohalla clinics there. Our chief minister said, if you like it, get me a concept, let's do it. So we've copied Mohalla clinics, we call them Basti Dawakhanas in our state, and we have set it up there. Likewise, we pick elements. See, TS IPAS that I just mentioned, it's not my original policy, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So we looked at Singapore, we looked at New Zealand, we looked at several other countries. We took some elements from each, made it our own, customized it to the Indian needs, and have come out with our own policy. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need to discover everything from the scratch. See, India is trying to do a semiconductor fab now. We don't have to do everything from the scratch. We can pick up from the lessons in Taiwan, from the lessons in Singapore, from the lessons in the US, and not make the same mistakes what they've done. So like that, if every state can look at others, I'm sure there are some things that are very good in Punjab. So I need to be able to latch on to them. I need to be able to have the fortitude and the aptitude to be able to look at that and say, okay, this is good. This will work in my state. Let me take it back and let me share it with my people. But unfortunately, egos run very high in politics. So इतना easy नहीं है, but कोशिश तो कर सकते हैं. But सबसे अहम रोल ये है, विश्वेश, भारत सरकार को ये काम करना चाहिए. हमें बिठाना चाहिए. सभी राज्यों को बिठाना चाहिए और बोलना चाहिए कि आप क्या कर रहे हो बताओ जो बाकी लोग सीख सकते हैं. That sort of learning from each other kind of thing, has to be done by the big brother, which is Government of India. Thank you. We have a gentleman there.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
My name is Ramakant. I am from Bhutpur, Telangana. So in the morning we had a session that was on the development basically, and I have a question. Sorry, I have a question on the roadmap on decentralization, especially empowering the local bodies in terms of in developing education, primary education as well as primary health for Telanganas.
Well, this is a very interesting question, Ramakant. Thank you. You're from my state, so you know. When Modi ji was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he talked about how Government of India needs to decentralize more and do more, let the states do more, right? But when the same man becomes the Prime Minister, it changes always. I mean, it's a role reversal. I'm not blaming him. I would do the same if I was him. I'm not even blaming him. Point I'm trying to make is, in I think when was it, 83 or 93, when Rajiv Gandhi ji, the whole Panchayat Raj Act amendment happened, the 73rd and 74th, the idea was absolutely right. I mean, the intent was right. But when it comes to execution, I've worked as Panchayat Raj and Rural Development Minister for a short while, and then I became the Municipal Minister. I can tell you from experience, I went to Kerala to study because, there's this gentleman called Vijayanand, a very popular gentleman and, eminent personality in rural development. So I went to him, I sat with him, tried to understand. I loved what they do in Kerala. They actually in the state budget allocate money directly to the local body, and they actually appropriate it and they show it in the annexure कि कौन से village को कितना पैसा देते हैं, which is very, very unique. So I came back, all enthu. I told our CM, sir, this can be done. So he said, the context is different. In Kerala, the villages are 25,000 people each. In Telangana, some villages only have 500. So the same model might not work. But decentralization must happen without a question. But you also have to give them, the ability to, take decisions as well. What do I mean? Say, for instance, in Bhutpur, you have a primary school, and you have a village which is probably 1,000 people. There are teachers in the school, right? You have 5, 6, 7, whatever number of teachers. Now, should the village have the authority to transfer the teacher if he's non-performing or not? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Because otherwise, how do you monitor the performance? How do you evaluate the performance? How will you penalize or how will you actually reward good behavior versus bad behavior? Unfortunately, what happens is, with the kind of systems we have in place, we have line departments on one side. We have education department, which is which is on the concurrent list. Government of India has a role, state has a role, the Zilla Parishad has a role, the municipal has a role, the village also has a role. Now, who will the teacher report to? Who is he more subservient to? That's the challenge. So, mere delegation will not help. Mere delegation saying it's done, okay, abhi tumhara kaam hai karo, that won't help. You also have to give them the power. You also have to give them the money. Classic example again is Telangana. We brought out legislation called as the Panchayati Raj Act, the new Panchayati Raj, Telangana Panchayati Raj Act, wherein what we've done is we wanted to ensure 85% survival of each and every sapling that was planted. So in the act we have put in, अगर आपने 85% survival नहीं ensure किया, तो सरपंच साहब आपका नौकरी जा सकता है, काउंसलर साहब आपका नौकरी जाएगा. Then it became a success. 10% of the budget was earmarked for green budget. So therefore, fund tie-up was also there. Job was clearly defined, role was clearly defined, responsibility was defined. So mere delegation, mere decentralization won't help without proper backing, without proper funding mechanism, is what I would say. But it has to happen.
Yes, please.
So I saw somebody raise a hand here. We'll go here. I think they were first.
Good evening, Ram. I'm Aditya, a second generation family managed enterprise. I would like to ask you, where could we envisage a time when there could be bipartisan political approach to most fundamental issues of public policy that our country faces? As a politician voting, could you envisage a time like that? And secondly, you told us this great story of Telangana. I would also like to ask you, what are the challenges that you foresee in the state of Telangana in the next 5 or 10 years? Thank you.
Bipartisanship in India in public life. Easier said than done. You know, we have ministers shouting in parliament saying, "Khamosh baito warna ED aa jayega tumhare ghar." So I don't know if bipartisanship is going to come anytime soon. We are a very divided, fractured society right now. As a country, I don't think that's good for us, firstly. I mean, politics comes and goes and positions come and go. End of the day, I think what matters is this country has to stay strong and stay united. If I have to be absolutely candid, you know, what's happening in Haryana, Manipur, or what's happened in Karnataka in the form of that whole halal, hijab nonsense, you know, it literally burns, and it really gives me makes me angry as a citizen, let me put it that way. Now, bipartisanship will only come if the leaders rise above petty political considerations. And while I am an optimist, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I won't lie to you, sugarcoat it to you, and tell you that it's going to happen very soon. It's not. The second thing you said, what are the challenges? There's plenty. The challenges as a growing state, you know, I have to continuously invest in infrastructure. Today, 1 acre of land in Hyderabad now, when we have set an auction 2-3 days ago, was went almost to a tune of 100 crores. I had a mixed feeling. I was happy on the one side because government was getting that money into our kitty so that we could do a few more things. But I was also a bit scared because it will create a very unique situation where, you know, the apprehension that, you know, the home, which is a dream for every ordinary man or a woman, will get that much more distant, will become that much more distant, that much more challenging. So as infrastructure growth happens, as wealth creation happens, I think one of the fundamental challenges that we are all going to run into is how do we keep up? How do we keep up with good infrastructure? You know, I think you may have heard of this very famous saying of John F. Kennedy. You know, a lot of people think that America has good infrastructure because it is a rich country, but America is rich because it has good infrastructure. So I think that focus on infrastructure, you know, as we move forward, as we grow, I think has to be consistent. It can't be a one-time thing. As a state, for example, I can say that I've built a project, I've built roads, I've built T-Hub, but what about building institutions which are future ready, which are going to cater to the needs of kids 10 years from now, 20 years from now? That's going to be a constant challenge. And the last thing I'll tell you, in India, especially with the kind of country that we are, for us to coexist peacefully, the biggest challenge is going to be how even a minor incident can disturb the tranquility of the society. That's going to be the biggest challenge, maintaining the social harmony. मैं बहुत बार देखता हूँ, peaceful state है, peaceful city है, और देखता हूँ कि एक छोटा सा छोटा इंसिडेंट काफ़ी है, जैसा जो हरियाणा में कल हुआ, एक छोटा इंसिडेंट, because like they say, religion is the opium of the masses. एक छोटा इंसिडेंट किसी को फ्लेयर अप करके बहकाने के लिए, उकसाने के लिए काफ़ी है. तो ऐसी हालत में हमें बहुत you know, circumspect रहना चाहिए, and that is going to be the biggest challenge for us as a country, actually.
Sir, I'm Sridhar Cherkuri, sir. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. I'm seeing all the developments that are happening in Telangana from the other side of the border. So one question, sir. Whatever you have achieved in the last 9 years is exemplary and extraordinary. And you are managing with the same set of bureaucracy what other states also have. And what is the trick of the trade in managing the same set of bureaucracy in getting this high performance?
Great question, Sridhar Garu. Thank you. In fact, that's a great question, really good question, because it's the same exact set of bureaucrats, same exact set of engineers that have worked before us and have also continued to work with us beyond. See, we are the first state in India that had, by the way, also in 75 years of India independence, we're the first state to have completed an ambitious project of providing portable drinking water connection to each and every home. 10 million homes. Each and every home has been connected in a span of 3 years. The reason why I mention that is because I was a minister when we were formulating this policy and this project. So Sridhar, what happened is our chief minister called us for a meeting. He says, my engineer in chief is there, my secretary is here, I'm here, seated right across. So our chief minister goes, you know, this project that I've dreamt or that I envision with about 45,000 crores of rupees, I would want to see that a reality in 3 years. So the engineer in chief who was seated next to me almost fell off his chair. वो बाहर आया, almost रोने लगा. He was almost about to cry. He said, sir, my department does not have the ability to execute a project beyond 400 crores per year. Now here is a chief minister who is saying I have to do a 45,000 crore project. How do I do it? You are the minister, please tell him. I said, बात करते हैं, डरो मत, you know, पहले थोड़ा देखते हैं. So when ambitious, audacious plans are made, grand plans are made, initially डर तो सबको लगता है. Initially we are all skeptical, we are scared, will we do it, can we do it? So we went to Gujarat to do a study tour because we were told they had done something called as a water grid in Gujarat. So me, my team, entire team, like 10 of us, we went to Gujarat. We met with engineers, we went to the villages, we looked at what they've done. They've done something, you know, they've reached 70% villages, they've only gone to the village, you know, overhead reservoir. They have really not done the last mile. So I was seated, you know, with this senior secretary, no names again. So this gentleman was spearheading the project. So I told him, sir, we want to do this project in 3 years or 4 years. And, you know, we want to complete it. So we came here for learnings. He started laughing. He said, हम लोग 12 साल से काम कर रहे हैं. अभी तक पूरा नहीं हुआ है. और हमारे यहाँ मोदी जी है. फिर भी नहीं हुआ. तो आप क्या कर लोगे? So I said, sir, fine, but why don't you tell us what went wrong or what could be done better, etc., etc. He wouldn't. He just started saying, नहीं होगा, impossible hai. So we came all determined. We came back all determined and, you know, we all pumped up. In fact, it helped my team. कि ये क्यों बोल रहा है इससे? Then we came back, we started drawing the plans. And I think, you know, your question about what really can encourage a team, I think sometimes, in fact, mostly it's the political will. Strong will, which drives the process, firstly. Secondly, you need goalposts in life. You know, working, you know, in a meandering fashion without any goalpost or without any goal as such in life is meaningless. So having a goalpost, having a target date, having timelines, working in a professional manner, and driven by the political will, I think that's the key to success. And bureaucracy is the same. If you give them a work, give them a task, you know, make them do it, they will deliver. Provided you actually motivate, provided you actually take them on board, take them into confidence, and ensure they're given full freedom as well. Then it will work. Yes, sir. We have 2 more gentlemen here, but yes, sir.
Last 2 questions, please.
A little bit different one, sir. I mean, I'm Santosh. I'm from Hyderabad as well. We have seen this story of how Hyderabad has transformed and how many flyovers and roads and everything. I mean, it's transformational. But I just wanted to ask a different question, totally different from whatever has been asked. How do you maintain your work-life balance? What are your hobbies? How do you enjoy life? I mean, you're always on work, running, helter-skelter, and you're talking about achieving so many things. So what are your hobbies and how do you...
I'm here on a Friday at 6 o'clock. I only go back home at 10. What do you think? Is there a work-life balance? You know, our chief minister tells us, I think...
know about your hobbies and all that.
I will tell you that. See, firstly, you have to realize, like Shah Rukh Khan says in Bazigar, kuch paane ke liye kuch khona padta hai. So unless you figure that out, you know, you have to. I mean, you want to achieve something, you lose something. The trade-off is always there in life. If you want to be successful at something, you have to give up something else. So therefore, I would say there's no successful person on the planet, that I know of at least, has achieved that work-life balance. And I would like to believe I'm successful. Secondly, I'll tell you, you know, of course, we all do the same thing, man. I mean, we all watch movies. I watch Mallu movies on OTT now. I've become a huge fan of Malayalam movies on Netflix and Amazon. I have two young children, 18 and 14. See, this is what happens. Where is the work-life balance? My son is going to college now. I have to drop him in Carnegie Mellon. Is going on 15th. I have to drop him. So yeah, what happens is essentially the little time you get, you spend with the family, go to a restaurant, eat, and once in a week or at least once in 2 weeks you meet your friends, have a drink, you know, unwind. At least they'll keep you grounded. And watch movies once in a while. I mean, what else do you do in India, man? I don't know. Celebrate your birthday in Cochin, like I said. And that's all you do, essentially, end of the day. Cheers. Yes, sir.
One last question, Himanshu.
Himanshu is my son's name, by the way. Who's Himanshu here?
My name is Himanshu.
Hi, Himanshu.
And I
think we can take a few more questions. Unless they are bored and they want me to go.
So I work with Government of Punjab. I am in the civil services. Sir, having passed from IIIT Hyderabad in 2014, I can see a very phenomenal.
Wapis aaye kabhi?
It's a lot of time, but I see a very different Hyderabad than what it was in 2014. So my question is, given the limited or budget or the public finance that is there with the departments, how do you prioritize your this budget I will spend this year on this program and I'll do this program later on?
Excellent question, and this is one question I'd like to dwell on for a bit. Manshu, really great question, because a growing country like India, you know, एक हमारे सोसाइटी में, एक हमारे घरों में भी, हर जगह, इनफैक्ट हिंदुस्तान में आप कहीं भी जाओ, तेलंगाना जाओ या पंजाब जाओ या हिमाचल जाओ, कहीं भी जाओ, एक हमारे यहाँ एक क्या बोलते हैं उसको, एक मेंटल ब्लॉक है. वो ये है कि कर्जा नहीं लेना है, नो डेट, डेट फ्री कंपनी, डेट फ्री हाउस. ये बकवास है, पहली बात. क्योंकि आप एक मिनट सोचो, हिमांशु आपकी क्या उम्र है? 30. आपके पिताजी का क्या उम्र है? 57. क्या करते थे और क्या कर रहे हैं? सर्विसेज में? He's a businessman. See, if you are in services, see, for example, my father's generation. Himanshu is a young guy, so I wouldn't take his example. My father's generation and me. My father's nearly 70. I think, you know, in his age, in his times, the dream of every person of his age or his generation would be कि मुझे घर बनाना है, बट कब बनाऊंगा मैं? जब रिटायर होऊंगा, आखिरी में पैसा बचाऊंगा और सब कुछ समेट के इकट्ठा करके घर बनाएंगे, घर बसाएंगे. दैट वाज अ ड्रीम. गाड़ी खरीदना है, तब भी बहुत दिन पैसा जमा कर करके तब खरीदते थे. बट आज जनरेशन जब चेंज हो गया, आज क्या हो रहा है? एक नौकरी मिल गया आईटी में या बैंकिंग में, फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज में, पहला चीज़ क्या करते हैं? घर खरीदते हैं. दूसरा क्या करते हैं? गाड़ी खरीदते हैं. क्या बदला? बदला ये, एक्सेस टू कैपिटल बदला, हिम्मत बढ़ा. आज की बच्चों में हिम्मत है कि मेरी नौकरी यहाँ, अगर मैं बैंक ऑफ अमेरिका में काम कर रहा हूँ, वो गया भी, तो मैं जाके जेपी मॉर्गन चेस पकड़ लूँगा, मैं कमाई करूँगा, ईएमआई पे करूँगा, मेरी गाड़ी और घर में आराम से बसा लूँगा. सो ये जो जनरेशनल शिफ्ट इंडियंस में हुआ है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली गवर्नमेंट्स में नहीं हो रहा है. हम वही फिर उसी में बैठे हैं, घिसी फिटी मॉडल, जहाँ हम लोग बोलते हैं कर्जा नहीं करना है, डेट फ्री रहना है. क्या बकवास है? अगर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाना है, पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? अगर एक दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी इरिगेशन प्रोजेक्ट करनी है, तो डेट तो रेस करना पड़ेगा. डेट रेस करके किस चीज़ पे लगाओगे, इस बात पे ध्यान दो. इफ यू आर रेजिंग डेट एंड इन्वेस्टिंग इन प्रोडक्टिव सेक्टर्स, इट इज गोइंग टू पे ऑफ. प्लीज डोंट look at investment into infrastructure as debt. It is investment into the future. It is going to pay off. So this fallacy that has been created कि debt GDP ratio है, इतना नहीं होना चाहिए, इतना होना चाहिए, fiscally responsible budget management होना चाहिए, हाँ वो सब ठीक है. आज आप एक चीज़ बताते हैं, आपको सरप्राइज हो जाओगे. दुनिया की सबसे अमीर देश कौन सी है? यूएस. पता है यूएस का डेट जीडीपी रेशियो क्या है? 116%. Japan is the second largest economy of the world, third largest rather. China is second largest. Japan's debt GDP ratio पता है कितना है? 200%, 200%. You know what India's is? 59%. My state's is 25%. और फिर भी मेरी ऑपोजिशन गाली देते रहती है कि तुमने कर्जा इतना कर दिया, खत्म कर दिया. यार हमने कर्जा किया तो किसके लिए किया? हमने पैसा लगाया इरिगेशन में प्रोजेक्ट्स पे, पावर पे लगाया, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर पे लगाया, ये सारे चीज मनी विल बिगेट मनी. Wealth is multiplied, wealth is, doubled, tripled, and quintupled, provided you put it in the productive sectors. This basic common sense, unfortunately, is lacking in the Indian society and also in Indian governments. Indian government इसलिए डरता है क्योंकि Indian society ये मानती है कि जिस आदमी ने ज़्यादा कर्जा उठाया वो गलत कर रहा है. कर्जा करो, but productive sector में पैसा लगाओ. It's investment into the future of this country. Invest in infrastructure. Today, let me also ask you one question. In Hyderabad Metro, I have the Canadian pension fund investing in Hyderabad Metro. Where is the Indian pensioners' money? बैंक में बैठा हुआ है, 30 लाख करोड़ अंडे दे रहा है. क्या कर रहे हैं हम लोग? 30 लाख करोड़, 40 लाख करोड़ LIC में, EPF में लगा के, कुछ नहीं करके. कनाडा से पेंशन फंड आता है, सॉवरेन फंड आता है बाहर से, जायका का पैसा आता है 1.5% इंटरेस्ट पे. क्यों आ रहा है हिमांशु? वो इसीलिए आता है क्योंकि उनको मालूम है 1.5% पे अगर वो दे रहा है आपको तो उसको 5% कम से कम रिटर्न मिलता है. अब जबकि यहीं पे आप ही का पैसा यहाँ पे 9%, 10% रिटर्न मिल सकता है. क्यों हम लोग इसको इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं? ये बेवकूफ़ी है. अनलेस दिस चेंजेस, दिस कंट्री विल नॉट मूव फॉरवर्ड एज क्विकली एज इट शुड. सो प्रायोरिटाइजेशन, कम पैसा, आई वुड से बजट में जो है उसका पहली तरह से उसका प्लान कर लो. आउट ऑफ बजट क्या कर सकते हो इनोवेटिवली, वो भी प्लान करो. हमने किया. कॉरपोरेशन से हमारे काफ़ी सारे और प्रोजेक्ट है जो आउट ऑफ बजट हम करते हैं. PPP मॉडल है. दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा मेट्रो प्रोजेक्ट PPP में हमने हैदराबाद में किया. 22,000 करोड़ PPP में किया हमने. गवर्नमेंट का पैसा नहीं है उसमें. तो नया नया इनोवेटिव फाइनेंसिंग मैकेनिज्म करना चाहिए और डेट लेना चाहिए और प्रोडक्टिव सेक्टर में पैसा लगाना चाहिए, तभी जाके लोगों को फायदा होगा.
One last question.
Yeah, good evening, sir. This is Abhishek Chauhan.
Abhishek, you have to tell me what do you do about the hair? Pura rock star look.
Just got better DNA, that's it.
Good for you, man.
Okay. I'm an entrepreneur based out of Nasik. I'm a real estate developer. Given you're a new generation politician, what are you and your party doing differently to draw better talent in political life, basically? That's my question.
Better talent in political life. First of all, thank you for calling me a new gen politician because मैं भी बूढ़ा हो गया यार. आजकल जब लोग बोलते हैं 50 साल में भी आप यंग पॉलिटिशियन हो, थोड़ा बुरा लगता है यार. यंग तो 20, 25, 30 तक है, बाद में तो पूरे बूढ़े हैं. बट see the generational shift, the new blood, the young blood that everybody wants to see in politics, politics of difference, etc. I think that can only come about by two ways. See, I'm a second gen politician. My father is a politician, so fortunately I've had the launch pad quickly, so I jumped in. And if you didn't know me as a Nepo kid, then you would certainly look at me very differently. I'm sure for those of you who have done some background check, you would already know. But otherwise, Nepo kids are given that look of contempt कि यार ये क्योंकि इसका बाप है तो आ गया ये, अदरवाइज ये कौन है. एक हमारे लिए चैलेंज ये है बॉस की पहली बात ये है कि in India to get into politics, you have to put up with a lot of mediocrity. You have to be prepared for it. So don't come with your rose-tinted glasses कि पूरा दुनिया रंगीन है और बहुत मतलब खूबसूरत लाइन ऑफ वर्क है और इसमें कई सारे अच्छे चीज़ हैं. अच्छे चीज़ तो है, कई सारे हैं, बट काफ़ी सारे बुरे चीज़ भी हैं. So how do I encourage? For example, what I've done in my own team. Ranjit Reddy, Dr. Ranjit Reddy here is an entrepreneur. In fact, before joining, and he's now a member of parliament from Hyderabad, he's a veterinarian, firstly by training, and then he actually started an industry in poultry, made some money, and then decided that now he's going to serve the society, so he joined politics. So that's one way of doing it. पहले financial freedom achieve करो, फिर बाद में इसमें आओ, ताकि लालच नहीं है पैसे का, यहाँ आके फिर पैसा नहीं बनाना है, पहली बात. दूसरी बात यह है कि selflessly अगर serve करना है, come through the grind. Don't come to me at the time of an election and say, I'm a very educated person, now just give me a ticket and I'll fight. Come through the grind. You also go through the process for 5 years at least, work in a party, work with my cadre, work with the local ecosystem, understand the problems, create your own master plan कि करना क्या है वहाँ पे, हासिल क्या करना है, other than getting into a post. What is your dream? What is your task? And then I think parties will take you seriously. We have done that. In fact, Telangana movement has been a blessing because our leader has created a new generation of leaders. Our chief minister has given opportunities to many, many youngsters. Today, student leaders in my state have become members of parliament, have become members of legislative assembly. We have another, your cohort is a colleague of yours. His name is Guvala Balraju. Now, Mr. Balraju actually, his father, let me tell you this. His father used to work, as a worker in a large construction company. He's educated his child. Today, Balraj actually created his own enterprise and eventually started becoming a part of the Telangana agitation. He's a first generation politician. He came in, he seated at ISB along with all of you now, and see where destiny takes you.
Do you see other parties doing the same? Any other political parties?
कर रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं बोलूँगा कि मैं कोई नहीं कर रहे हैं, बहुत लोग कर रहे हैं, बट फिर भी बैरियर्स तो काफ़ी है. मैं एक छोटा सा चीज़ बताता हूँ आपको, आप बैठ जाइएगा 1 मिनट. सो नॉर्मली क्या होता है ना, अगर आप कल जब न्यूज़पेपर आप देखोगे कल सुबह, अगर आपको आदत है पढ़ने की, तो आप एक चीज़ देखिएगा उसमें आपको 5 किस्म के लोग दिखेंगे. फ्रंट पेज पे आपको दिखेंगे, सॉरी लास्ट पेज से शुरू करते हैं. लास्ट पेज पे आपको दिखेंगे स्पोर्ट्स स्टार्स. उससे पहले वाला पेज पे आपको दिखेंगे मूवी स्टार्स. उससे पहले वाला पेज पे आपको दिखेंगे बिजनेसमैन एंड बिजनेस वुमेन. और उससे पहले वाले पेज पे आपको दिखेंगे क्राइम में, मतलब क्रिमिनल हो या कोई और पुलिस ऑफिसर हो या जो भी हो, वो दिखेंगे. और आखिरी में आपको दिखेंगे पॉलिटिशियन. 5 किस्म के लोग आपको दिखेंगे. तो इसमें क्या है ना, चैलेंज ये है, आपको पॉपुलर बनना है, सोसाइटी में नाम हासिल करना है. ये 5 तरकीब है, 5 तरीके हैं. स्पोर्ट्स स्टार बनने के लिए टैलेंट चाहिए, मुश्किल है. मूवी स्टार बनने के लिए लुक्स भी चाहिए, लक भी चाहिए, मुश्किल है. बिजनेसमैन बनने के लिए पैसा चाहिए, टैलेंट भी चाहिए, थोड़ा मुश्किल है. क्रिमिनल बनने के लिए भी पैसा, मतलब टैलेंट चाहिए, क्रिमिनल बनने के लिए भी, वो भी थोड़ा मुश्किल है. हमारी एक ही ऐसी फील्ड है जिसके लिए एंट्री बैरियर इतना कम है, इतना लो है कि कोई भी आ गया, थोड़ा पैसा बना लिया रियल एस्टेट में तो आ जाओ पॉलिटिक्स में. माई पॉइंट इज, this is a field full of mediocre people. So to actually survive, to thrive, to do well is a huge challenge. It's not easy. This is not a field where, because you have noble ideas and noble thoughts, you will be welcomed and, you would be put on a pedestal. No. You'll have to go through the grind. You'll have to put up with a lot of nonsense, a lot of nuisance, and survive. And win electoral battles. Trust me, that's not easy. It is easy to pass UPSC exam, very difficult to crack. Thank you, ma'am. She's nodding furiously. Thank you, ma'am. So it's very, very difficult to survive in Indian politics. I can tell you that much. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
For non-performing bureaucrats, there is that you've come up with a plan of 1,000 rupees fine for every day of delay. What about non-performing politicians?
Non-performing politicians are kicked out, ma'am. 5 साल के बाद हमें, they will get the boot and we are kicked out any which ways.
No. What does the government do for them? I mean, how does it make sure that they work?
Ma'am, the thing is, see, once you have written an exam, UPSC, and you've come into the field, come into the service, you are there till retirement. You know exactly in what capacity you're going to retire. As Special Chief Secretary or Cabinet Secretary, right? But in the case of us, who have joined politics, we really don't know. So we perform. See, I've been elected.
How has it managed in every field to do so well?
The thing is, see, our Chief Minister is a taskmaster. When you talk, see, I was reeling out a lot of statistics you may have noticed. I'll give you an example. So I went to meet a Chief Minister. Again, naming names is not a good idea. एक 7 साल पहले एक चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब ने मुझे बुलाया. उनको अच्छा लगा ये वाटर ग्रिड प्रोजेक्ट. उन्होंने मुझे बुलाया, खाना वाना खिलाया, बैठ गए हम लोग. तो मैंने उनसे पूछा, सर आपका अर्बन रूरल पॉपुलेशन का ब्रेकअप क्या है? वो तब तक ऑलरेडी 3 साल चीफ मिनिस्टर रह चुके हैं. उनको नहीं पता था. उन्होंने अपने चीफ सेक्रेटरी की तरफ देखा, बोला चीफ साहब कितना है? चीफ ने उसके सेक्रेटरी को देखा. तो क्या होता है ना, आपका अगर बॉस टास्क मास्टर है, बॉस का स्टैंडर्ड एक लेवल पे है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपको भी अपना गेम एलिवेट करना पड़ेगा उनके सामने बोलने के लिए. तो हमारी हालत है कि आज हमारे चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब के सामने अगर हम कुछ बोलना है हमें, या कुछ प्रेजेंटेशन देना है, या कुछ पूछना है, वी हैव टू बी सर्कमस्पेक्ट, वी हैव टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड. एंड नॉर्मली हमारे सीएम इतने बड़े टास्क मास्टर है, वी ऑल गो प्रिपेयर्ड इनटू अ रिव्यू, लाइक फुली प्रिपेयर्ड. हम लोग बहुत पढ़ के जाते हैं. बट द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टिपिकली इज ऑलवेज आउट ऑफ सिलेबस, ऑलवेज, इनएविटेबली. देन वी गो बैक स्क्रैचिंग आवर हेड्स कि यार क्या हो गया, बेइज्जती हो गई, फिर वापस. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, if your leader is actually smart, if your leader has that ability in him. See, leadership is not about shouting at people or being a taskmaster or fining or sacking or throwing them out or sending them to Andaman or things like that. Leadership is about ensuring that you elevate your standards, you elevate your skill, you elevate your game, as and when it is decided. And the last thing I'll tell you, ma'am, honestly, since you asked about politicians, politics is always about one thing, ma'am, and success in politics is always about one thing. It's if you're able to, as a leader, as a politician, offer the hope that your tomorrow is going to be better than today under my leadership, then people are going to vote for me. If you're able to offer that hope, like they say, a leader is a dealer in hope. So if you're able to give that hope, raise that interest in the people, then you're going to survive, you're going to come back. Or else 5 साल के बाद धक्का मार के निकाल दिया जाओगे और घर बैठना पड़ेगा. Thank you.
Thank you. I would request Professor Ashwini Chhatre, Executive Director, Bharati Institute of Public Policy, to briefly speak about this program and the participants.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, KTR Garu. This is quite a privilege. I will just follow Madan into reminding you that the insights that we get started with, you will have to carry it a long way, and hopefully we will be able to meet the bar. It says we have to raise our game, and after this 1.5 hours, it is certainly a likelihood, and I look forward to it, upping our own game to excel. I also take this opportunity to welcome all of you. This is the inaugural session of the new batch of the Advanced Management Program in Public Policy. I'm really glad that we have started on such a positive note. The inspiration is just the beginning. The grind, the hard work will start now. And KTR Garu has offered a visit to T-Hub when you all arrive for your second residency.
I would also like to add up, I would also want you all to visit Kaleshwaram. I'd also want you to visit Pochampalli, our handloom hub. So kindly please plan for that in November, and I'll be happy to host, happy to make sure that all of you are made to feel welcome, and you can spend the time there as well.
So the
of course,
well, that will ensure that the bar remains raised and high, and we shall strive to meet it. The batch itself, as you are getting to know each other, is more diverse than other. It is also slightly larger than usual. And the mix on multiple dimensions will ensure that what each one of you takes from these interactions will join and amplify so that our classrooms become serious knowledge production sites. We will continue to endeavor to teach as faculty. That is our duty and calling. But it is equally important that as students, you derive as much insight and share and teach and learn from your peers through these kind of interactions, because this is something that teachers in a classroom cannot accomplish. It is over and above what we can teach you as teachers. And I'm really glad that we started off today on a note where we can take inspiration and evaluate where the challenges are and how they have been addressed and overcome in at least a few occasions in a specific location in India. I will end today for now at least, and I welcome you all. I look forward to teaching you over the next 10 days, and I, of course, as the faculty director for the program, will be your taskmaster for the next 1 year, and I promise you we shall keep the bar raised high. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ashwini. I would request DNV Kumar Guru, Senior Director External Relations, to briefly deliver the word of thanks, followed by the memento presentation.
Thank you, Sandeep. I have just, we don't say vote of thanks because there's a story behind it. So, which involves another prominent leader from Hyderabad, our former vice president. That's why we are very conscious of not using vote of thanks. But Honorable KTR Garu, you had a question earlier saying, will the audience like my session? Will they stay on beyond 30 minutes, 40 minutes? Yeah, I thought you should all respond. This was a question he asked earlier. So the best way to respond is by a show of hands. If you like the session, so yesterday the Israeli ambassador to India was in Hyderabad at our campus in a similar setting, a different program, PGP Max, and one of the students asked him the question saying, what makes Israel the startup nation? I think he gave an answer, very nice answer, but I think the similarity for Telangana, for India in a state, is it's safe to state that Telangana is the startup state in India, truly the youngest state, but also in more ways than one, a very unique state which imbibes all the elements and characters that a startup really has. Over the many years that we have had the opportunity to witness Honorable Minister and his senior colleagues in the, both the cabinet, but also the bureaucracy, I do want to take, every class has a summary, even though you don't want it, but somebody wants to show off that I was paying more attention. So I am that guy, in the class who's saying that I have sort of paid a lot of attention. To my mind, this is what Mr. Jayesh Ranjan has sort of said over many times. I think Telangana's model is excellent because of three things. It's what I call the PIT model. They formulate really good policies. They create institutions or interventions to enable those policies. And third, the most important thing, they identify the right talent to run those policies and the interventions. So that's the sort of summary. If you have to write a thesis, like a note about what's the guest speaker all about, this is something to do. I really want to thank you, sir, for coming down. What started off as a very small conversation in the boardroom in Hyderabad. He said, I want to come to Mohali, and we gave him the date of August 11th. This was more than a month ago, and he stuck to the date, and here he is today. So thank you very much. Can I request the Honorable Minister to be felicitated with a memento by the Dean? Gauraksh, can you get us the... This is a painting by a Telangana artist, Tota Lakshmi Narayan Garu, which is a feature of the campus, ISB campus. We just had a camp recently. Ashwini, please. Madan, we have one more.
This is the ISB background.
We also have our Honorable Member of Parliament,